Hey everyone, welcome to MAHA Moms podcast. And on today's episode, we are going to be talking about the MAHA food guidelines of nutrition and a little bit about what RFK is trying to do with our food and eating healthy. And this is a really interesting topic because I personally have an experience or a story I want to share with you. So we're going to welcome Christine, and we now have Lori part of our team. So everybody say hello. Okay.
Hello. Honored. I'm honored.
Yay. We're honored to have you.
Yeah.
So on our show today, I want to share a story, and Christine and I, and now Lori, but at this episode, was Christine and I got an email from a woman that asked us to be interviewed about MAHA Moms and RFK Jr.'s guidelines to eating healthier. So I agreed to do it. And I did a little research before I got onto the interview, and I realized it was with the Atlantic magazine. And I didn't really even know what that too much was. But as I was kind of doing my research, I realized it's extremely anti-Trump, anti-RFK. And I'm talking like every single article that I could research was like a negative research. It was a negative article. So I was like, oh, this is like, I guess, political, right? Which I never understood why food is political. But I guess it is, and that's what I told her. I guess this is a political thing. So, but I'm not. I'm an independent. I'm straightforward, and I'm really just going to keep it straightforward. A functional medicine Christian, and that's where I'm at. So I want to bring it to your attention today because the reason why I did the interview was because I was a little nervous that my words were going to get twisted, but she didn't do that. But I really wanted to understand why. I just can't grasp being in this field for over 30 something years. I don't understand why, since we're MAHA moms, I'm going to use the word mom, but why a mom wouldn't want to feed their child healthy, why a mom wouldn't want Kraft company to be held accountable, why you wouldn't want to pull Fruit Loops off the shelf and it be, the dyes in it would be from like beet juice and carrot juice. I just think that makes feeding your child healthier when the United States is held responsible for taking out the garbage, the junk, the dyes, the additives, right? All the processed things, fortified vitamins, all the fake stuff. And it is a little aggravating for me, girls, is that when you do go to Europe, Kellogg's, makes the Fruit Loops with the carrot juice and the beet juice. And so they use all natural ingredients in the sense of the dyes. They don't use red dyes because that stuff's been banned, 20 years ago in the EU, or maybe 15 years ago. So that was my whole purpose of doing the interview, knowing that she doesn't have the same perspective as us. It's going to be a little bit of a, not good versus bad. It's just going to be two completely polarizing views of raising children. But I wanted to understand why, I just wanted, because if I felt like, I don't know, I guess I felt like if she could tell me like, why they find this so hard and why this is such a bad thing and why RFK is such a bad person. Like this is such a bad thing to do. MAHA Moms is such a bad thing. We could give them ideas. We could say, look, it's not, if you try these 3 things, it's not so hard. So that's what this one's about today. And the interview, just so you know, was 45-minute interview. I gave her a ton of ideas. Just so you have the background on me, and you might think I'm crazy, I had home births. I breastfed my babies as best I could. I had problems with one, so I did use some formula. I made my own baby food. I'm not perfect. I definitely use baby food, like if we were traveling or in certain situations. Like I said, I used a little formula. And that's what I said at the end of the article. Don't make it perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you have to use a little formula, use a little formula. Like it's okay. But that's my idea. Like it wasn't stressful for me. It was actually stressful for me if my kids weren't fed well. Like I come from a very different background than the woman I was interviewing. So that's why I wanted to understand, why is this so hard? Do I think parenting's hard, being a mom? Yeah. Do I think raising 3 boys and trying to work and deal with the school systems and all this stuff was difficult? Yeah. Was I busy? Yeah. But what I want to try to get at it today is just to give some women some ideas that this doesn't have to be so difficult. And I think the priority, Lori, we talked about priorities. I think the priority for all of us today in America should be getting our children to eat healthy. I mean, that's what this is about. I don't want to like rip the article apart. I don't want to rip people apart. I'm not judging anybody, but let's move forward about the article. What did your girls think when you read the article? What did you think?
You want to go, Christine? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Who's
You
going
want-
first? Christine, I guess I should address you. What did you
Okay.
think when you read it?
I wish that I could have talked to her, but I also realized that probably what I said would have been a little misconstrued also. But talking about doing this on a budget, when I had to do this 12 years ago because of my health, I had lost my income. We were living in New Jersey on a one income, salary, or you know what I mean, one salary income. Uh, I had to just make it work. So I didn't even have the money for the box food. I could only buy the meat and the fruit and the starch. And I had to make everything myself. And when you really look into it, it's cheaper to buy and the ingredients and make like homemade mac and cheese in a casserole dish than it is to buy the craft off the shelf. Because when in like ratio to the amount that you can make, and then you could freeze it if it's too much, but it really doesn't come down to cost. If you prep, if people want to save themselves time, they can shop online. I do that in order to stay on my budget also, so that I can take more time and adjust things that I need to if I have to, because I'm still on a budget. But that could take the stress part out of it, doing shopping online, and then coming home and involving the children in making the food. Now, I didn't do that because he was sick at the time, and it's something that I'm upset that I didn't do, because now it's a struggle as he's 20 and he kind of missed that boat. But seeing other people do it, on social media and things like that, it just makes sense. These kids need these skills to go on in life also. So, as far as time, yeah, you have to budget it because you have to take your day off or your weekend, or whatever. But there's definitely things that you can implement in order to do it and on a budget. And like you guys also said, priorities, like what is your priority? We
Yeah,
didn't
what I
go on
want
vacation for 18 years. So, it just really depends on what is important to you. It wasn't even an option for us, but I'm
yeah,
not
what
saying it's easy, but I'm just saying it's possible.
Yeah, what I wanted to let the listeners know, what you're alluding to, maybe I should have said it first. There's two main themes that she addressed to me, which is what you're talking about now. The 2 points that she addressed to me that I wanted to know why she found this so difficult was, one, she said for lower income families, for people who don't have the money to buy organic or to buy things without the dyes, to buy things without the GMOs and the pesticides, it's difficult. And so she was talking about that one aspect, but she just felt that the guidelines of the seed oil and coming out of certain foods and running around trying to look for food, she just felt like the article she linked and the study she linked was all about lower income. And that's what you're talking about. That's the first thing we're addressing. I want the listeners to understand we're addressing again.
Sorry, I just jumped in because I was like, oh.
Yeah, so I probably should have said that. Is like, we want to address her first point was that is where the MAHA mom guidelines are making it more stressful for lower income mothers. And so that's what Christine's talking about, is when she was on this budget and there are only there's only one income coming in. She was kind of and having health problems that she's right. I'm not putting words in your mouth. You had to do it. You were forced that way to eat healthy on a low budget.
And 12 years
Is that what
ago,
we're talking about?
and 12 years ago, my doctor had said, like, you cannot have, this is food like substances. This isn't food. Like, I didn't know that. Like I said on, I don't know what episode, but I used to go to Trader Joe's frozen aisle before I knew. But now that once you have to try, to just do a little bit.
I want you to explain that a little bit more, because I don't think a lot of people understand that Trader Joe's foods is still food products. It's still food substances. It's not food. So
yeah.
What does that mean? Because when you turn the box over, it's a bunch of chemicals.
Yeah. And I couldn't have any fillers or additives or any of that. So it was, whole food. that's what you make. And if you can't find organic, then, I mean, you can't afford organic, then you can't afford organic that week. I've done that. I've had to do that. Um, but it just kind of gets me a little excited because it is so important. It is so important for these kids now that I know and see the difference of making the changes and how much better I feel. And then every day I see these kids on, social media or whatever, and they're so unhealthy. Like you could just tell by looking at them. They're like white as a ghost. Do they even see the outdoors? Like what we have done, and I'm not saying, but what the industries have done to our children is criminal. And if you take a child today's day next to a child from 30 years ago, I mean, you can't, it is, all I can say is it's criminal what has happened to these kids, and they need a leg to stand on. And the only way to do it is to take control of your family and make the changes there and hopefully inspire others. But also on social media, which is a good thing, is that you can see the mom of 11 feeding her children. And she's doing it without all the crap. They have, a couple drumsticks, they have potatoes, and they have a vegetable. Like, there's ways to do it. People are doing it, and you have more resources because if you are online, you can find all that information. So,
and where did that idea come from? Lori, maybe you could elaborate. I know you've got your point, but where did that idea come from that, the meat and the potatoes and the vegetable is like expensive or like more expensive than box foods and packaged foods? Where did it become a problem? Like I grew up with like my mom cooking, like you said, like it was, meat. You got your meat, whether it was chicken or beef or whatever, and your veggie and, your starch. So it's just kind of like she cooked for a family of six. She cooked. Like she had no choice. Like more expensive for her to like take us out to a restaurant or take us even to McDonald's or try to take us or go out there and buy like, like all this box stuff. So
And I think
like,
it's
why is
too,
everybody so afraid of like making food, using real food? What
well, I
happened?
think like Christine said, like when kids are, with the media and what's out there, we were talking about that, the prize in the boxes and all the other kids have it. And all the other kids say, try this, the Fruit Loops and the Frosted Flakes and all that stuff, because you can get the plain. But to me, the most important thing is reading the labels and then teaching your kids how to read labels because they love that. Then it's like, oh, and can you pronounce what's on that label? It's really learning the stuff that's in there. What upsets me is, look, if they're not doing this in other countries, we're totally being poisoned and we don't care about it. Like we're not taking a stand and saying enough's enough. I could travel and go somewhere like you, and things don't bother you that bother you here. And you see with well, because we turned in the other cheek and let it happen. But it's like, no, this isn't right. If they're banning it in other countries, shouldn't we be looking at, hey, what does this do to these kids? And you see, I say this when kids, the meals before school, it's Lego waffles, pancake syrup, and then these kids can't focus during class. They come home, they're bouncing off the wall, and it's like, look at what they're being fed. That's to me, reading the labels is really key because if you look at that and you see all those chemicals and look them up, like just like with any, hair, skin, what you're eating, what your kids are being exposed to, you got to start reading the labels on things.
And what did you think about the lower income? Because what's the name of the article, Christine? Do you have it on top of you?
MAHA, it's called MAHA is complicating one of the hardest parts of parenting. The hardest part of parenting. She didn't go to an IEP meeting yet, apparently.
Really, she has a 2-year-old, so give her a break.
She really want to go there.
She has no idea. Yeah, try having an 18-year-old. Good luck.
That's why I think I got like all riled up too. I was like, oh, honey.
Give her a break.
No.
Really, seriously. You having a 2-year-old, it's like, that's the easy part.
Well, and I think like she talked about too, like, and you are stressed when you feel like you're under the pressure of, hey, I have to feed my kids right. But, I have like and I always worked, I brought in a second income. Scott would get home from work, I'd be leaving for work, and then he would cook dinner. And my daughter says that now to this day. She's like, Mom, that was the thing I always remember. We always had home cooked meals, whether it was you or dad cooking. Like we didn't go out to dinner. We did have a fixed income. I was working because we needed an income. I delivered newspapers for a while. Like it was just, you needed that extra income. But the kids, the time they're spent preparing the food and they see you preparing the food, they want to be involved with them with that and educating them on that. Like my kids love doing that and they love to cook today. So I think it's really the quality time that you're spending with them. I know it's difficult with work. I've been, I've done that. But now even my grandkids, they love to cook and they love
Yeah.
to learn the homemade recipes. So I really think it's what you're bringing. And if you feel that it's extremely stressful, that like you don't have the time to prepare in that, there's always a way. It's like when people say you have to go on the diet and you have to give up all these things. There's always the alternatives. There's always a way, but it's teaching yourself when, like Christine said, when you go to the store and knowing what you're buying, because when your kids realize what's in those things and you start educating them on what they do, I think the kids are going to be like, yeah, I don't want that. I'd rather have this. And they're going to learn the same way. And then we're raising children who then understand and they raise their children and circle of life. So
I love that. And I feel like that was the second point that she made to me. The 2 points I took from her was one, she felt like MAHA guidelines were stressing out lower income families. And the second point she made was that it's just stressing out in general, having to come home after a busy day of work and having to cook for a family is too stressful in general. And so that's a great.
And I did feel that way when I was working.
Yeah, it is.
But once you do it and you realize that it's really not, and you can batch cook, and prepare things and freeze it, like especially breakfast, because everybody's in a rush, you know what I mean? But if you like make a quiche or two on the weekend and freeze one and keep one out and then just heat it up for them that morning, or batch cook like healthy muffins and put them in the freezer and then let them thaw. Like there's definitely, I mean, you need to plan it out and strategize, but it's better than the alternative, But what stinks is I didn't learn until Jack was 10, so he was already hooked on some of those things.
mhm.
And even now that to this day, he gives me a thing about the syrup. He doesn't want maple syrup. He wants the other crap. And I'm like, no, I gotta take a sip of that and tickle.
Yeah.
But if you do it early enough, because like I used to feed him off the salad bar as a baby, like I did make his baby food and all that. But then once he had his first chicken nugget, it was all over. So
Yeah.
like when people have new babies, I'm always like, don't give them a chicken nugget because after that they won't want anything else. Like seriously.
Yeah.
I know a couple of kids that are like that. That's all they wanted, chicken nuggets for the rest of their life, practically.
But some of the chicken nuggets aren't even real chicken. Like, so,
No.
that's what it's the education of knowing like what you're eating, because then the kids are like, oh, like so many, middle school, high school, and they get up and what do they grab? A Pop-Tart. And, I always tell my grandkids, I'm like, there is no nutritional value in that. You're putting something in your stomach, you get to school, and then, you can't, there's no nutrition. And they just think, hey, it's got fruit in it. And, so it's the education of it is so important, because then the kids realize, yeah, I don't think I want to eat that. I like this better and I'll sweeten it this way. So that's where, like, Lisa, you're so good at that. And you taught me a lot of that with reading the labels, knowing what you're putting in your body. And, is it's not easy to do, but we've all been there where we've been on limited income and still trying to do the right thing.
Yes.
But you do figure it out. My husband always grew a garden every year. He was a green thumb. So, we had the lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, eggplant. And that was the best thing ever. But why not teach your children how to do that too? Like then they relish in the fact that, hey, I'm eating what I'm growing. So I think education is the most important, because even if you educate properly, you won't be stressed out about it. So,
Right. I've always said to my moms that, because I used to do food play in here, and I had like, I literally played with food with the kids. And the point I tried to do is that if you teach your kids when they're young, and even if you miss it young, and like you said, you at any point pick it up. But if you teach your kids what real food is and how the food can heal the body, help heal the body. The food needs the vitamins, the nutrients, the minerals, the antioxidants, and all real food. It doesn't need the garbage, the fake food. It doesn't work with fake foods. It doesn't know what the things that Kellogg's is making in the lab. It doesn't know what these fake tastes are. It doesn't know any of the additives, the preservatives. That's why you get autoimmune. That's why it attacks it. That's why we're all inflamed. But if you teach the kids, this is a strawberry, and this is what the strawberry looks like, and this is what the strawberry feels like, and this is what the strawberry smells like, they actually will get over the fear of the food. A lot of these kids don't even know. I can't even tell you how many kids would come in my office and not know what a pear is or not know what a strawberry is. They've never seen them. And are we going to play a blame game? No, it's just you got to get the kids to know what these things are. So food play is a really good thing when they're little. Let them mash them up. I used to take water guns and put fruit juices in them and hit targets, and then they wind up drinking celery, cucumber, apple juice that we juice together. So you let them hold an apple, you let them put them in the juicer, you let it kind of the smell hit you. What I always felt with picky eaters and like sensory issues with kids is that they need to get over that a little bit. They need to like feel what a blueberry is, smell what a blueberry is, taste what a blueberry is, right? Maybe we used to just mash them. I used to let them have hammers and just mash them and just play with them. I used to and I know that might be a little like wasting food, but you know what? If you did it in a clean environment, you can kind of clean that up and throw it in a blender at the end. Like I'm not saying like, go outside and, although we did do, I did let them catapult a few things, like with the little, what's that thing called? I used to let them throw.
Oh, Jack would have loved that.
Yeah. Playing with the food, but then you want to go food shopping. So, and you always want to pick like and I was telling the author, the journalist this, because she had a 2-year-old, and I was like, look, get your 2-year-old around food. Take your baby food shopping. Let the baby like eat an apple while you're going around, and tell them what the apple is. And what you have to do is the education is so important, because this is what I tell them. No one else is going to teach your kids nutrition. No one else is going to teach your kids how to eat healthy. They're growing up in an environment where they think that, that Cheetos is good. They think that Pringles are good. They think Starbucks is coffee. It's not coffee, by the way. Like they just are growing up in an environment. They don't know what a garden it looks like. And I'm not saying all you guys, this is just where I'm just giving people ideas, is like, having a picky eater is, you got to ask yourself a couple questions, because that was another thing she brought up, which I don't agree with this. She's saying that the mom gets so stressed out that she feeds her kids crappy, and then the kids get stressed because the mommy's stressed, and now the kids are picky eaters. I was like, I want to reverse engineer and challenge that. If the child's a picky eater, I want to blame it on the stress of the household. I would just say the child doesn't really know. Like if you feed the kid ice cream, it's going to want ice cream all the time. If you give the kid chocolate, it's going to want chocolate, and you're not going to want the carrot. So you kind of have to reverse engineer yourself and say, take the junk out and maybe give that sparingly, and start treating, you have to reverse engineer that. You have not taught the good stuff. And you really have to, because what I'm really, really good at is I can take Nutella and I can make it homemade, and you could put it back in the Nutella bottle if you want. They won't know the difference. So it's not difficult, because you're using whole foods. And so the way I got through raising a family of 5 and trying to feed them healthy and trying to stay on a budget, because we were really on one income. We were just like, all right, you got 2-3 days of work. I was only working 2 days because I just wanted someone home with my kids, right? So we were just rotating through doors, seeing each other because of 2 ships passing in the night. I go, but it was crock pot meals. It was, but it's all whole food. That's the whole point I'm trying to say. The part that gets me really annoyed, because you guys probably get you annoyed, gets me really annoyed, is it's really, they're mad at the message, but it's not the message that's the problem. It's the power and the money grab on this. And I want people to understand that, you know, what RFK is doing is he's kind of challenging big food, these big food companies to do the right thing. And so it's not the message, you know, you don't maybe like him, or maybe you don't like me and you don't like my message. And you're like, I don't really want to play with food with my kid. But it's the fact that we're challenging the food companies in the United States of America to do the right thing, the very thing that they, this gets me pissed, the very thing that they do for all these other countries. It's not even their own country, like they're American companies, and they're treating different countries and those kids better. And you know why? It's not that they're a nice company. It's because those countries don't allow it. Their guidelines don't allow the red dyes in. The guidelines don't allow the GMOs in. So what he's trying to do is challenge our government to put the guidelines up. He's not trying to stress out lower income families. He's not trying to stress out the everyday mom. He's trying to make it easier. Because think about it, if you could go through the food store and you didn't have to run to Whole Foods and you'd have to run to, you know, Trader Joe's or wherever, or run to the farm and get all these different places, because that's some of these things these moms complain about. I have to go to 5 places to get something clean. Well, wouldn't you like to go to this food store down the street, go down the food aisle, the fake food aisle, because these are still going to be fake foods, mind you, and pull out a box that has a clean label, and you don't even have to turn it over and read it, and you don't got to run to another store to find something clean. Right. Isn't he trying to make that less stressful for us? Like,
the agencies have sold us out.
Amen. Say it again.
That's what happened.
People in the back can hear you.
Because, you know, just watching, you know what opened me up was that movie Stink. Did you guys see that?
Yes, I wanted to bring that up in the next one. We're going to be talking about the ingredients of candles. Stink. You know, did you know? Do you know, John?
Oh, no,
I never saw the movie.
Oh yeah, I'll send it to you.
But him,
my friend did that.
Like chasing down the Congress people, going, "Why did you vote that way? Like, why are you doing this?" Like, it was such an outrage to him and me too. But it's common day practice every day in Washington. They are not representing us. They're representing the companies, and I think it's a bunch of. Sorry.
No, this author or this journalist did ask me, and I don't really know if she's a journalist or an author, because I have a different opinion and I'm a little confused in journalism today. I have a blog, and if I'm writing a blog about sunscreen, I don't show 2 sides of the coin. I guess I keep it one side of the coin, where I'm like going to just show you, this is the bad part of sunscreen. Here's how you get here's where you go find healthier ones. Right. But mine's a blog. I'm not a journalist, you know, so I'm not too sure. Hers are always one-sided. It's completely anti-MAHA Mom. So I don't know, like maybe it's a blog that they're writing, because it's not really reporting both sides of the story. Right. But my point is, the ingredients that are in things really need to come out. And what she asked me was like, how do you think we can make it better then? Because she, I think, was honest. It was a really good conversation, except that she left out all the tips that I wanted to give everybody to make it easier. She left out that part. That was the part. This part, I don't know if she was a journalist, because I was like, okay, tell me what the problems were. I was like, okay, here's some solutions. Put that in your article, so these moms that are reading your article can not just walk away going, oh, this is so hard and horrible. They'll have some solutions from Dr. Lisa that would say, hey, and she even interviewed a mom that has a nonprofit about how to keep GMOs out of the food. And she didn't really give her, like, I'm sure she gave a lot of advice too. So it's kind of weird. Like, you interviewed these moms that are really about keeping the food clean, but you didn't give your readers any kind of like solutions to the problems. But what I wanted to say is, I'm kind of going to hit on what you're saying, Christine, is I think the problem today is a lack of community, because if more of us come together, I don't care what color of the stupid voting area thing you want to be, because I don't think food should be, nor do I think children should be Republican versus Democrat. I just take the bias out of it. If we could just come together and demand, like John was trying to do in the movie Stink, like just demand the Congress, the senators, the companies to do the right thing, to make our food clean, I think it would happen. But I just meet too many people who are like, You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like they don't want the candles clean. We're going to
completely.
talk about candles in the next one because it's a big thing with the fall. They're not going to want the candles clean. They're going to want the perfumes clean. Why? I'm like, because it's causing cancer.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
And do you know, like it was recently, like what, a couple of years back, and it was GMO. So we looked at it was genetically modified organisms. So then people started, oh, and people started reading the labels, and then you'd see non-GMO, which it was still garbage, but it said non-GMO. Now it's bioengineered. Still the same thing.
yeah,
They're genetically modifying if it's bioengineered. So it's the same, they just change the words and
yeah,
then it's,
seed oils. That's
yeah.
the new catchphrase. It's hydrogenated oils, people. It's taking a healthy oil that is really healthy for you and bringing it into a lab, putting hydrogen in it, and changing the chemical structures and making it garbage, where it's now going to go from an oil that was cleaning up your arteries to an oil that's going to clog your arteries. It's not the actual, like you have sesame seeds, the oil in the sesame seeds is super healthy. That's a seed oil, right? Oil that's in the seed, like the sesame, the flax, super healthy, omega-3s. But once you go into that lab, we should do away with the lab, and you start
I,
altering things, you come out
yeah,
with something nasty.
Yeah, Christine and I go into the lab and we come out with anaphylactic shock.
Oh yeah, you guys couldn't even be in there.
I had to highlight something that she wrote out of this whole article, and it was that I've criticized many of Kennedy's MAHA initiatives, including his promotion of raw milk and beef tallow. Now, okay, I could see people with the raw milk, whatever, that's everyone's opinion. But beef tallow? How is beef tallow controversial?
I don't know. It's been around forever.
When I started to use it to cook, I fixed my insulin resistance. My triglycerides went down by like 60 points. And I mean, all I do is cook the beef and then save the fat and put it in the refrigerator in a jar and then use it. You know, sometimes I even just put it on my skin. Um, but I don't understand like how she has a problem with that. So that was like something that I was like, what's wrong with beef tallow? I mean, it's not.
She didn't think seed oils were bad. The fake stuff, not the
Yeah,
real
that's
seed
the
oils. There's
replacement
a
of the seed
complete
oil.
difference between the word seed oils completely to mislead us, because seed oils inside seeds are healthy. Beef tallow, if it's in its natural form, is healthy. Like, but if it's in a lab now, we've altered it. Okay, maybe it wouldn't be healthy. I could do a full blog on peanut butter. Trust me. Like
Mhm.
they can take something super healthy and literally add garbage to it. Now it's not healthy. And so that's where I want the community to come together and just be like, all right, we're being completely played. We are a product that what is that called? When we're like, they
The
sell us
cash
a
cow?
product, what? Cash
Are we
cow
the cash cow?
or a commodity?
Yeah.
That's the word I was trying to think. But cash cow is probably better than commodity because I'm starting to sound all smart. Um, Cash cow, right? Think about it. They feed us food that makes us sick, but they make money off of us. And I think it's way more expensive, people, to go into the food store today and buy box food than cook home. So I'm going to challenge you on that one. Two, you eat the box foods and the packaged foods and the processed foods, and I'm going to call them food products, right? And now you get sick. And now guess what? Now the next guy, the big pharma comes in. He goes, good job, big food. So big pharma comes in and solves the problem.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there we are, their commodity. And if we'd
Yeah.
come together and see that that's not fair anymore, we shouldn't be these little slaves and we shouldn't be their pincushions and their little guinea pigs and their little cash cows. I just think we could make changes, but you've got articles like this that's like,
Yeah, we should be uniting against the industry, not, you know, them dividing us.
don't be
Um, I,
against RFK because you don't like him politically. Like if that, like, I just feel like they want us divided so we don't come together.
yeah.
And I can tell you, I'll tell you the story, and I tell everyone the story, and it really annoys me. I was over in Spain. It was the first time I went to Europe, and it was, 54 years old. That was my first time to Europe. And I was with my two oldest sons, but my youngest didn't go. And so that was hard for me. It was my first trip, like with not like the three boys, but I grew up. I got over it. And he loved gummy worms, and I do not like candy for the kids. I'm very picky. I'm the weirdo at, Easter. I'm like, I'm not getting those peeps, you know? Um, So I go look at the gummy worms. I turn it over. Actually, I didn't even realize it. I think I just grabbed it because I didn't have anything for him. I got a little desperate, and I was like, "All right, stop being so perfect. Just grab whatever." So he had something that you brought home, and we get home, and I was like, "I should really look at this because if it's real garbage, I'm throwing it out." And he just doesn't get anything from Spain, right? And I turn it over and I look at it, and it says it was like gelatin, like sugar and watermelon juice, and I was like, "Oh, well, that's kind of a gummy, right? That's what a gummy should be, right? Like Knox gelatin, a little bit of sugar, and a little bit of dye, right? In this case, they use watermelon juice. I give it to him. I go, let's eat these. These look pretty clean. And then we try them. They were so good because he goes, oh, these are going to probably taste like garbage. They were so good. I don't eat candy, guys, but
when
I
you
eat
make the
chocolate,
switch
but
and
I
then
don't
go
eat like
back, you're like,
sugar
bro.
candy. They were so good. I bought 2 bags. I was like, darn it, I should have bought more of these things. And but and I was just running through like a 7-Eleven type of store. I wasn't in like a specialty store, and it was just a bag of gummy worms. And I'm telling you right now, it was like gelatin, watermelon juice, sugar. Like, why is that
When you start,
Why is that okay?
like the preservatives and all the different things they're putting in, to me, and everybody always says this when we were young. I mean, I'm a lot older than the two of you, but like the kids we didn't have allergies like that. You didn't have, we're like, oh no, this one, he can't even have peanuts in the room. Like what? And everything, our parents baked and brought in home baked stuff on our birthday. Now can't do that no more. But then these are the same kids that are going out and eating Pop Tarts.
Yeah,
So, I don't, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's where
There's
your
a
store comes
poster.
from.
There's a poster, and I can't find it, but it was in my chiropractic college of a Pop Tart. And then the overlay on top of the Pop Tart was all the ingredients, and it filled up the whole Pop Tart. So it was like so many ingredients in a Pop Tart. And then they had a picture of a Snickers bar with a straw in it. It was like you're basically drinking sugar. Like they had it like the way they made it, and we had all these visuals at school where I was like, "Oh my God, what are we eating?" Like like I eat Pop Tarts all the time, and it's just crazy. So what I want to challenge everybody today is like the whole point of this was the fact that she interviewed me, and the couple things that I felt like that you might be struggling with is if you feel like it's an economic issue, I really would challenge you. Eating out is super unhealthy, super expensive today. Look for your priorities. I know what my husband and I did is we did not, we've never took lavish vacations with the kids. We didn't eat out a lot with the kids, and it was really a priority for me that my kids eat healthy and grow up healthy because all their little organs and all their little tissues and their arteries and all the little things they got going on in them need vitamins, need minerals, but they need the real ones. And that's a real big thing we could talk about another time is they need real food, like real vitamins, not synthetic vitamins. So that's a big difference too. And so you want your child to be able to fight cold and be healthy and not get cancer and not have autoimmune and not have to need an inhaler and not to need allergy shots. And so like you are in charge and you made this baby, you chose to have this baby. So do it. And don't blame it on Robert Kett. Don't blame it on MAHA. Just come on. We're trying to make this easier.
I want to invite everybody to come to social media to our Facebook page because now that school's over, I can do a little bit more once I get these classes rolling. But I think we should open the discussion and have people comment on strategies that they've used and tips that they've used. Because one thing I want to say is because it's helpful. Stop asking them what they want and just put it out. Like that was a huge thing I learned was if I put out a tray of vegetables and fruit cut up and walk away and I don't talk about it, it's gone when I come back. And that is huge. And forget about the microwave. Get the freaking $15, $20 air popper and make air pop popcorn. Like there's so many things that you could do. And if we could all share like these tips and tricks to help each other. So please join our Facebook page.
I
Follow
love
us.
that.
Let's have a discussion and let's help each
Yeah.
other, because we're all in it together. We're all moms, and we do want what's best for our kids.
Yeah, and let us know what you're struggling with, and we'll come up. We can comment there, or we could bring it up on the next podcast and answer your questions. I want to play off that one. So I told her that what I did, and I think this is a good strategy I want to share because I want to give you guys a takeaway. And I told her this, but she didn't write it in the article. So when the kids come home from school, they're usually low blood sugar, cranky, and starving. So do not give Doritos and Cheetos and all that garbage. Do not give things that are going to cause ADHD. Like, just don't. I mean, that's proven. Like, sorry, that orange dye is linked to it. So that's true. So what you do is you do what Christine's saying is you just cut up, my son loved apples, right? I might put a little cinnamon on it, whatever. Cut up the apples, just put it out there. Don't say, how is your day? Good. You know, they run in and they're like looking at, you know, they'll start eating the apples. They don't even know it. They're not even aware of it. They start eating it.
Yeah, they're starving.
And so that's like, that's beginning it, right? That might have been, oh, I was going to serve apples at dinner. I was going to serve applesauce, but I'll just serve it now. Or you cut up oranges or slice oranges or whatever, peel oranges, or strawberries, or you know what I mean? Whatever they like, I would put one thing out and then maybe 20 minutes later, put another healthy thing out. They'll eat it because they're starving. And right away, they're getting their fruits and veggies. It's 4 to 5 cups of fruits, 4 to 5 cups of fruit, and then 4 to 5 cups of vegetables. So it's 10 cups a day. Nobody's eating that. So just think, like, anytime you can feed them when they're cranky and hungry, go for the healthy thing first. And then, okay, if they want a Cheeto after dinner or something, you'd be like, oh, at least I got all this good stuff in there. But you're doing, that's what I'm saying, reverse engineer what you're doing. Do the opposite. And the other thing I would say is, don't give in. And I will challenge you, if you need help with this, reach out to us. Don't make 2 or 3 different things. I can teach you how to make something where everybody's pleased, but stop making like Joey wants this and Sammy wants this, but I want this, because that's what makes you stressful. That's what makes it stressful. Like, but that's called giving in, and that's called having no control of your kitchen. And I teach about that too. You're in charge, Mom, not the kid. All right. You guys want to say anything else?
No, I'll put it in the social media.
All right. Yeah. Come over to our social media. Instagram is where they're really at right now. You can also respond below in YouTube, because that's the 2 places we're really hanging out. I believe we're on TikTok too, right? It kind of.
That's really slow.
That might be slow. So Instagram and YouTube is really where you reach us.
Facebook, Instagram.
I'm just learning that.
That's the bandwidth we've got. Remember that? Oh, we didn't post that one yet, but she was like, my bandwidth is only for Instagram. And I was like, oh, we should have probably done that too.
Oh yeah, we didn't post that one yet. Because my bandwidth didn't get there yet. All right. Thank you so much today for joining us, and have a great day.
Yes. Take care. Bye.
Bye.